Okay, we are at the point now where we are going to begin adding color to our soft pastel drawing. So you see I have my finished black and white version of my animal. It's complete, except for some finishing details. Obviously, no whiskers and that kind of thing. It'll be like the last thing I add. We need to use a color scheme for this project. So if you have a question about which color scheme you're using, you can look back to the PowerPoint from earlier this week and choose one of those color schemes. And so this is what we call your color plan, okay? My chosen color scheme is analogous colors. And analogous colors mean 3 colors side by side on the color wheel. Now, I am going to use these colors here, yellow, yellow, orange, and orange, or maybe all the way to a little bit red orange. But instead of going bright, like I could use these super bright pastels in these colors, right? And make my rabbit very, very vibrant. I am deciding instead to identify and use more muted versions of the colors. And so what I'm doing instead is calling this kind of a dusty yellow, my yellow. And I'm going to call this sort of reddish orange, my yellow orange, and then my red orange is kind of this red brown. So you can see like the colors kind of match. They work in that sense, but they're just neutralized or a little bit duller. So instead of making my rabbit super brilliantly yellow and orange, I am instead going to use a little bit more muted color palette for my drawing. I can even go this one color like dustier and call that, kind of red orange. Well, that's that same color. So that is my plan here for my project right now. Okay. With that, like kind of color plan, what I'm also going to do is put my colors in color order. Okay. So I know that my white is the lightest. My yellow is the next lightest. We're going to go with this one as yellow orange. Then this is my orange. And then my red orange has like 2 kind of facets. Can't decide which, those are sort of even. And then my black. So I am lining those up in color order from light to dark, so that when I go to add my color to my drawing, I'm kind of contemplating or thinking about lights and darks as I draw. So this first step, like I said, is to identify your color plan using your color scheme. So that's step 1. Step 2 is to choose your colors. And then step 3 is to lay colors in value order. So light to dark. And then we're going to use them in our drawing. So how we're going to use them in the drawing is just like when we worked with the eyes. So I'm identifying my lightest color, right? And I'm going to add that in where my drawing is lightest. You'll see that I'm going to be very gentle. I don't want to obliterate my drawing. I don't want to get rid of everything that I've worked on to make my drawing happen. But it does feel a little bit that way at first. So you can see as I'm adding in some of these colors, things start to feel a little murky or messy. After this point, I am going to have to go back then and adjust my values. Okay, so you can see I've added in some of my color. I'd probably even sneak some of this super dark brown in here. Once I've started with the color, as you can see, I've got a pretty good start on the face. I can go back in with my white and black pencil and adjust any values that need to be fixed or adjusted. So if I think back to like doing our practice with the eyes, I had to do that as well. So I'm gonna come back here and I'm gonna blend in some white, and you'll see that that white kind of picks up some of the color that has been laid down, and it blends in then with the white and the color that's there. The other thing I can do is I can experiment with maybe a paintbrush or a blending stump to carefully blend these together a little. I like the control that I get out of the pencil. And I'm not pressing very hard. I'm actually pressing quite lightly. So my goal isn't so much to add in a bunch of new value so much as it is to kind of integrate the colors that I added into my work. So you can see as I blend, I'm getting a little bit more white back in. But I'm also sort of blending the color back together. I can do the same thing with my black in some of the areas that need to be a little darker. You can see that the black is a little harder to control blending. So I'm barely touching my paper right now just because I don't want everything to turn black, but I do kind of want that color to blend in a little bit. This is the process now, is to go ahead and go through and add your color over the top using your color scheme. If you are in level 3 and using a color scheme, you're going to do the same thing. If you're in level 3 and you're doing your landscape and you just want your landscape to be realistic color, the process is a little similar. My photo happens to be analogous colors anyway, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to start adding my color in to the white and the black, the value layer that I had. And I'm going to just carefully blend as I go, trying to get my sky here a little bit. I'm gonna have to probably find a darker blue. I'm gonna do the same thing, and I will blend kind of back and forth, just using other colors. So you can see as I use a different color over the top, it just sort of blends in. And then I'm gonna use the same process back here in the back. So these trees back here, add a little yellows at the top just for some highlights. And then I'm going to shift to My green and trees in the distance are just sort of mushy. There's not a lot of detail here. Add in some dark blue to try to make this a little darker. Maybe use my paintbrush to do a little blending so that my colors meld together a little better. So you can see as I'm paintbrushing, I don't have a lot of values back here. So I'm gonna have to just sort of adjust as I go my value structure. So the process is the same. It's just that your colors might be different, right? If I'm using actual realistic color, I'm just gonna go ahead and use that realistic color right over the top of what I have going on for my landscape. So whether you are level 2 and working on an animal with a color scheme, or level 3 and potentially using realistic color, today is the day that we start adding some color over the top of our value from yesterday.